Welcome to page 4 of Linear Equations. Let's read. Complete the table of values for the equation y equals 3 times x plus 1. Using the table of values, graph the line of the equation. Well, let's jot down our equation that we've been given. Y equals 3 times x. We're going to triple every x and add 1 to that value. You can also write the equation by exchanging the sides. You can bring 3x plus 1 to the left side of the equation and then the y to the right side. Let's take a look at the x values that have been selected for us. The table we've been given for this problem is a horizontal table. X still comes first and y second, but it's just a little bit different. Write delta x along the x side of the table and write delta y along the y's. We're still always going to examine the ratio delta y over delta x, change in y over change in x, and of course, please copy down these notes, that's our slope. And remember, sometimes people refer to this as the rise over the run. Let's continue. We can see in our table we've been given some negative values, and some people aren't comfortable working with negative values. So let's start where we have a bit more confidence. Starting with an x of 0, then an x of 1, and an x of 2. We'll fill in the rest later. So, here we go. Make sure you're taking down notes. First, let's substitute a 0 in for x. 3 times 0 plus 1 equals y. Well, 3 times 0 is just 0. And when we add a 1 to it, y equals 1. That's our first ordered pair. So jot it down off to the side, 0, 1. Let's do another one. Let's substitute an x of 1. 3 times 1 plus 1. 3 times 1 is 3, but remember we have to add 1 to it. So in this case, our y coordinate is 4. So our next ordered pair is 1, 4. And finally, let's use an x coordinate of 2. 3 times 2 plus 1 equals y. Well, we get 6 plus 1. In this case, our y value is 7. So our final point is 2, 7. We have 3 good points to plot, and that's enough to give us a start. Here we go. For our first point, 0, 1, we go over 0, up 1. So 0, 1 is our first point. Please label that. Our next point is 1, 4. Go over 1, up 4. Label that. And lastly, 2, 7. Go over 2, up 7. And label that 2, 7. Before we take a look at our rise and run, or our slope, let's go back to the table and look at our delta y and delta x. We can see changes occurring. Let's start with delta y. As you move from y coordinate to y coordinate, you can see each and every time we're increasing by 3. So our rise, or our delta y, is 3. And our run value, or our delta x, well, we can see that we're increasing by 1. We are going to rise up 3 blocks and run 1 block to the right. Place your pencil right now on the lowest point, our original point that we plotted, 0, 1. And let's check our work. Go up 3, that's a rise of 3, over 1. Up 3, over 1. And one more time, the next point would be up 3, over 1. And that would be the point 3, 10. Now let's reverse this. Place your pencil point back on our original point, 0, 1, 0, 1, and go backwards. Over 1, down 3, make a nice solid dot. Do that again. Over 1, down 3, another solid dot. Over 1, down 3, and that's all. We've kind of run out of coordinate plane. Grab your ruler and connect up all the dots. Make a nice sweeping line and mark each end of that line with arrowheads, indicating that the line goes on forever and ever. Your line should look something like this. And the finishing touch, label the equation just above or below the line. 3x plus 1 equals y. Let's finish up by talking about a few important points to review. First of all, let's talk about the y-intercept. The location where this green line intersects with the y-axis. It's right here at +1. And we can see that that ordered pair is right here on the table. 0, 1 marks the location of the y-intercept. So our intercept is at a +1. Our next important point of discussion is slope. We know that's the change in y, that movement upward or downward, over delta x. We know for this particular line, it's a 3-to-1 ratio. That is our slope. And finally, what about those missing y values on the table? Remember, we needed to figure out what y coordinate goes with the x coordinate of -1 and -2. Well, those are easy to spot. If you go to your x-axis and go over -1 and come down to the point with that particular x coordinate, we see the y coordinate is -2. And the same thing is true if you go over to -2 and go down to the point that lives with that particular x coordinate. We see the x coordinate of -2 matches up with the y coordinate of -5. Make sure you've recorded all the notes for this particular video. Next time, we're going to learn a bit of a shortcut when it comes to graphing lines. We are going to eliminate all of this work. So, this concludes page 4 for linear equations.